this is Jaekwon Seo, founder and CEO of Dominic. I went to Stanford as a visiting scholar, and then Stanford, and then Silliconvalleys founder, and then founding a company, Dominic. And then Dominic is a cross-border media platform, so equivalent to the information and semaphore in Korean, actually, yeah. And then thank you for fireside chat with me. And my first question is, without further ado, I will ask about your first night, in Korea, right? How was it?
It was great. We had a great dinner at the furniture museum, great food, and then we went on till way too late drinking in the whiskey bar, but a fun time.
Yeah. Alex, you arrived today, right?
Yeah, I came in yesterday night. I'm only here for a day. It's my first time actually ever in South Korea. So I'm pretty excited to be here.
And then, Sam, you are like a K-pop star. Yeah, right. Many grand people welcome to you. How was it?
It was a busy day, but I had super fun. Every event was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of Korean food do you like the best?
Well, everything has been really good so far.
And then, yeah, you've been on a world tour, right? Several ways.
Yeah.
And, what have you learned so far?
The level of excitement about AI and kind of the level of focus on AGI around the world has been a much more advanced stage than I realized. And the willingness of leaders to come together and try to figure out how we address AGI safety as a whole planet is also more advanced than I realized. But mostly just the energy and the optimism of what people are already doing.
That's important. And yesterday was the OpenAI day, and today is a WorldCoin day, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I will focusing on the WorldCoin. And I'd like to know about the WorldCoin's founding story. You are co-founder, right? You guys are co-founder. And why did you start WorldCoin in the first place? And what were the founding ideas? Both of you.
You want to start high level? So when we started working on this project about 3 years ago, and there were a couple things coming together. Like one was the AI. So 3 years ago, Sam was already directed on AI, and so like generally, what will AI do to society? And there's going to be a lot of things that will need to happen. Like the general thing that I think generally is exciting, but especially in the sense of AGI, is like UBI. It was a founding ideas, like basically building infrastructure that will enable to do that. But then also just crypto is around for so long now, like so many years, but it really never really got to scale. So another foundational idea for what can we do to bootstrap such a network to billions of people? And so you have AGI coming relatively soon. How can you scale an economic network that actually connects billions of people? And we'll get us there.
Actually, I have nothing to add. Exactly.
And how did you meet each other? How did you meet each other? You are co-founding this company.
We were introduced by a friend. I went on a walk one night to San Francisco.
And then CEO and you are co-founder. So what does you want? I mean, each other. But you are not CEO, right?
Alex does.
I like it here.
Yeah, I mean, so like generally about how the project is now 150 people roughly, between Berlin and San Francisco, and it's pretty intense time because we were about to launch. That's also why we're here, and we had to build a lot of cool stuff for the last couple of years. So I think some of these things we'll talk about today.
Yeah. And then also, your company is a Tools for Humanity. So recently it is reported that Tools for Humanity raised $150 million around the sea. So I mean, I'd like to ask about what is a WorldCoin and what is a Tools for Humanity. So what's the governance between them?
Well, I mean, like WorldCoin is protocol, and so it has to be centralized. But then, of course, there's companies of people actually implementing the protocol, and so we started working on it through the company that's called Humanity 3 years ago. There will be a non-profit foundation that already exists called Worldcoin Foundation that basically governs all the IP. But Humanity is the company we actually develop these things. So when you see the Series C round, that's the team that is only working on Worldcoin.
Then, Sam, do you strongly believe the AGI is coming, right?
I do.
Yeah. So, what kind of problems are you trying to address with WorldCoin to solve this problem?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that one can imagine if something like Worldcoin works. Certainly, the questions of how society will distribute access to AGI systems, the benefits of them, think about governance, how we're going to differentiate between what is done by people and what is generated by machines. We don't have the answers to any of this yet. Society will have to figure it out more as we go along, as we start to integrate these systems into our lives. But if something like WorldCoin can work, I think that's a quite interesting new tool to have. Or you can.
Yeah. And then, I also Alex. Yeah. And could you explain the component of the WorldCoin? So I have a WorldCoin, World ad actually, and then World ID and WorldCoin. It's a little bit complicated.
Yeah, should I actually just explain quickly how it works? Um, so as we started thinking about this and really how can we bootstrap such a network to the whole world, one of the first things we had to solve is how does actually every human being only receive one identity, right? So like actually when we started thinking about this problem, it was really just, okay, we want to launch a new currency and we want to distribute the currency to all human beings. Just because you're a human, you can claim part of the currency. That was actually the initial problem statement. But then we realized that we cannot rely on government identity systems, broadly speaking, because that will leave out billions of people, which is definitely not a great start. So a lot of the initial energy we have spent is to build a hardware device that does exactly that. So like that basically issues everyone a unique world ID. So that's what it's called. And really the only thing it is a way for you to prove online that you are a unique human being. So we don't know anything else about you. We don't have any data about you. It really is just simply for that purpose. And once you have World ID, you receive ownership in the whole network. So there's a certain amount of tokens, of course. And just for being a human being, you will basically receive ownership in the network over the next couple of years. And we just try to roll it out as quickly as we can to the whole world. And that is about to start soon. So you have WorldCoin, World ID, and then there's like the third thing that is the World app. But that is really just like the first app to connect to the protocol. There's going to be many others that are not built fast.
Yeah, it's easy to register for the app. Okay. Yeah, I am registered already.
Cool.
And also, Sam, I mean, this WorldCoin is ideal. Is like a passport, right? I mean, passport in a AI era. So that I really important is that your guy is like a passport. Do you believe that WorldCoin is like a passport in the artificial intelligence era?
I actually haven't heard that now before. I think it makes sense. I think we've got to figure out kind of exactly the way people will talk about this, but something like
that. Yeah. And or
just like take that. I think how you will actually interact with it in your daily life is just you're probably gonna use it for a lot of things that you sign online, like when you write or like whatever. You will just log into online services the same way you did with Google login or something today. I don't think password analogy is actually that great because there's no data about you associated with this.
Yeah, sure. On the website, the WorldCoin explain there is a POP, which means
Proof of person.
Yeah, proof of personhood. It's a quite strange. So, could you explain the POP? What is it?
Well, I think actually Vitalik started the technology or like that wording a couple years ago. We just used it. But it basically is just what we said. It's like, how can you prove that you're a unique human being? That's just the only task. Because I think that's just we did it started that overnight, which is a technical.
So I asked before, the world, you believe AGI is near, so is the WorldCoin ideas related to AGI, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a distinct idea, but I think it makes extra sense in a world with AGI.
Yeah. How about the universal basic income? The UBI?
Yeah, I think this is, you could imagine a system like this being used for a global UBI at some point. We have a lot of progress to make in economic growth before we could do that, but someday.
So, what do you think about the UBI and the WorldCoin?
Look, I mean, UBI specifically is something that is politically very loaded, and I think usually for the wrong reasons. Because especially around AI, you have a technology that's very centralized, will generate a lot of economic value, right? And redistributing it, well, is a very different model than like usually when people talk about UBI, or like why people are sometimes annoyed about it politically. But I think it's, well, I certainly hope it's going to help. I think it would be incredible for a world if it happens at scale. And I think that would be one of the most exciting outcomes of the coming decade or so of both these AI systems.
And what is success? How does the most successful WorldCoin look like? What's the meaning?
Well, I think for the start, everyone has it. That really is like the main thing we focus on right now. Is how do we just like bootstrap that network as fast as possible? And it is logistically very hard, of course, because you have 100 devices there, takes some of them there. You just do you have to ship globally and have to roll them out? So like initially, the initial phase will be just worldwide, it's pretty challenging. But I think as soon as we really cross like 100 million active users, there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening just as a result of the network size. I think like one of the truly inspiring things about this is that crypto never really like actually made it in our daily life in some sense, right? Like, there's no actual economic transaction happening on it, and I think one of the big things that might get us there is just a much larger network.
What do you think? Why is success on your point?
I think what Alex said about a huge network, sort of metaphorical power of that, is quite important.
Huge network. Yeah. The most important thing about the WorldCoin is all system. This is unique and interesting. Why did you choose identity scanning system? Yeah, to create wallet, because there are many other KYC methods inside the identity scanning. So,
Yeah, we really did not want to do that. So we thought about this problem for many months. So and just like if you start from scratch, you want to implement a way how everyone, no matter where you are, you can prove that you're actually a unique human being. How can you approach a problem, and like what kind of technologies can you use for that? And so you have like broadly speaking, you have like three big categories that you can think of. Yeah, government KYC, right? So you use the government identity system, which like for many parts of the world works really well, but for others it just doesn't. And so for something like World to Work, that's nothing we wanted to do. So we just like excluded it apart. The next big category is around what people call web of trust. So you try to build like a graph of people that like I trust you because I've met you in real life, and then I assigned that value to you on the internet. But broadly speaking, that never has worked, and we actually made a lot of these implementations, and I don't think it will work, especially as also actual neural networks in the internet are going to become more thing. And then the last big bucket you have is biometrics. And biometrics is something that people usually react badly to, of course, because it is a very powerful technology. But one, I think, of the most exciting things that came out of cryptography in the last 5 years I mean, it happened early, but it just got cheaper in the last 5 years, is zero knowledge proofs. So we realized that we can use zero knowledge proofs to issue such a proof of personhood with biometrics without actually intruding the privacy in any way. And so we ended up there. And then within biometrics, the other challenge thing is that all the things you use in daily life, Face ID and whatever, they just re-authenticate you. So they make sure that you're the same person sending them again. But for something like work, you actually have to compare like me against everyone else. So it goes from 1-to-1 comparison to a 1-to-N comparison. And face, fingerprint, all of those things, they like in short, they just don't work. They don't have enough information in it. So the only thing that really worked was the eye. Like the muscle of the eye has a lot of information in it. And so we went down this path and then realized that we actually have to build the hardware complete from scratch. So we quite a hardware team that built that in the last year.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is true. But how can we trust that you guys are not selling our private data?
Well, I think selling data would just be plain stupid. Because that we would never do. Like it doesn't make any sense. But I think why should you trust is like just don't, because everything will be open source. Like all the hardware is already open source. The protocol is already open source. There's like some parts of the system we did not yet because there's still some security concerns, but this is gonna also be released in the next couple months. So that's the whole ethos of what crypto was actually started around, is open source everything and kind of don't trust. So I think that's the answer.
I have one last question as a moderator. Before that, please, prepare your question. Right, your questions. I will receive your question. So please prepare your question. English, Korean, both okay. And my last question is, what do you expect in Korean market? Korea is a both strong infrastructure, AI, and blockchain and crypto infrastructure. So, what you guys expect in Korean market?
I mean, this is my first visit to Korea, so I don't have like a super sophisticated opinion, to be honest. The thing I know is that it's obviously an incredibly technologically strong country and market, so we're really excited to be here. And I only heard super exciting things to be here, and also just the people I met.
Yeah, the technical strength of Korea, software, hardware, large internet companies, interest in cryptocurrency, I think this will be a super market. It continue to be a super market for all industries.
Yeah. Okay. This is my last question. And then, yeah, you should raise your hand, your question. Yeah, and then you introduce yourself first, and then you ask. Yeah.
Okay, hi Sam. My name is Dong-Son. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm actually interested in your bigger vision of the future because I think what WorldCoin means has a bigger implication. You recently mentioned in an interview that actually when AI and AGI comes, that the human labor structure is going to change. That means we are not going to earn money in the way like we did, most of the people in the world. That means we have to think about new systems in providing new income structures and also how we are going to prove what is generated by humans and what is generated by machines. But I think, as it was the case with cryptography, crypto and coins, society and the system is not going to embrace it from a beginning, and it's going to be hard to change structures, including UBI and many things. So, what do you think is a feasible way of embracing changes which are going to happen very fast with AI and the way it is going to substitute human labor? What would be a feasible way you think nations can adapt and change their structures if they could do very fast?
So I think people are absolutely going to continue to work in the future. I think the jobs will probably be different, but human creativity and the ability, the sort of desire to contribute something back and to feel that fulfillment from work and to, collaborate with people and gain new status, do new stuff. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Every technological revolution, people always say, what are the jobs going to look like on the other side? They always worry there won't be any. We've always found things. Even if we do have systems that are as powerful as we expect, I am sure that humans will continue to do things, and it'll be a very different shape than the jobs of today, but it'll still be there. And predictions about this are difficult, notoriously wrong. One of the first things that people predicted with AI a long time ago, Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov in chess. So AI system, like 30 something years ago. And people said, that's it. Chess is over. If AI can do it, no human will ever care about chess again. Chess has never been more popular than it is today. Humans have never been better at chess than they are today because they have these new systems that help them. And people watch more chess today than ever before. But no one watches two AIs play each other, like not very many people do that at least. Humans are interested in other humans. Humans kind of care about what other humans think and do, and humans sort of, I think, also know what other humans want. And I think that's just like an example of how this doesn't always go the way it seems. If we had a few generations, I think society can easily adapt to any amount of labor market change. We've seen this with previous technological revolutions. The thing that may be different this time is the speed with which it happens. And that will, I think, require some additional support from society. And I think different countries are thinking about that in different ways. I've been pleasantly surprised at with the level of focus on it on this trip.
If I may, just one thing. And then I will take a press, there are a bunch of press here, so you guys can ask a question as a press. And yeah, are you present? We can have a microphone. Please introduce yourself as well.
Hey, thanks for the speech. My name is Nathan. So I read your article about productivity. Would you say there's any relationship between UBI and just overall level of the productivity of society? Would UBI going to enhance?
I would expect it would enhance a lot. I think if you give people sort of like more freedom and flexibility and sort of less stress about I got to do something right now to like make my expenses this month, I think there's like tons of research to indicate that would be an increase in productivity. Not everybody, some people will sit around and play video games or whatever, but it will, I think, lead to an overall huge increase.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jun. I have a question to both Alex and Sam. What I use iris verification as a solution to prove human, but as the generative AI technology improves, I believe that it is a matter of time that such biometric data could be also exploited by AI. Interesting, there's a novel approach for proof of human, which is the good old Bitcoin. Bitcoin needed thing by proof of human to prevent the severe attacks, which is a scenario that a man brings 1,000 of computer to take over the majority of network. Instead of inventing the way of proof of human, Satoshi turned the problem itself into he sees human as who spend money to compute specific hash, which is called proof of work. So it occurs to me that what defines a human being is may not be any biometric data, but rather than can be like social activities and economic activities. What's your perspective on that?
So I don't think your statement to my okay, this is just much less outdated, I guess. So I think your statement about Bitcoin solving for human is just not right. Because like is it easy for you right now to solve a hard hash problem and prove me that you're an actual human being? This is like a very difficult problem. So this is just not the case. But to your question about AI systems exploiting proof of human. Yeah. So one of the reasons why this device is so complicated and we spend so much time building it is that you can just not easily fool it. right? So meaning you just show it with something digitally, like a display or something like that, and you would be able to verify. So meaning you just like artificially generate like a million faces and whatever, and you would send. So that just doesn't work. And there's multiple sensors and devices that make sure that's not the case, and you're actually being. So
Yeah, one question from press, right?
Hello, I'm Yerido from the center. The center is where I think number one Korea blockchain video. 네, 질문은 한국어로 했습니다. 월드코인이 기본소득으로 기능을 하려면 화폐로서의 가치가 있어야 할 것 같은데요. 세상에 지금 정말 많은 알트코인이 있고 비슷한 시도를 하려고 했는데 사실 화폐로서의 가치를 인정받지 못하고 있습니다. 네. 어떻게 월드코인은 화폐로서의 기능을 할 것인지 그런 계획이 있는지 궁금합니다.
Yeah, I will take a question actually. Yeah, because there are some translation available. I've heard, but I don't know.
Maybe
so
somebody
far.
could just translate it for us.
And also there are many different kind of altcoins, and they are not working as a currency, and they are not working as money. So how is going to WorldCoin work as a currency people use? Because there are other kind of crypto coins which already exist, but don't really are not used by the public so much.
I think that's fair. I don't think it's actually about altcoins. I think this is like a general thing about crypto. And look, we don't know. There's no magical answer to this. I think the short of it isn't how we think about it. It's just like, okay, we just build something that is useful to as many people as possible, and we hopefully actually try to get it to a large number of users, and then we're gonna see what happens. But the whole space did not figure it out in like the last 10 years. We will not figure it out in the next 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, that guy. Daniel? Daniel, yeah. First and then.
Yeah, good to see you back. I'm a fellow YCO, Daniel. So you have a great moment with OpenAI, ChatGPT, and then also WorldCoin. I think you try to do really solve big problem here too. And then perhaps if I just add on to that metaverse, or maybe people shy away from that term, but then is there something you want to really contribute to creative economy, combining ChatGPT or OpenAI's technology and WorldCoin, or perhaps something else you're excited about?
To the creative economy?
Yes.
Well, I think that's been what AI has done best so far. The systems have been super useful for people doing creative work. In fact, the problems they have in some cases of hallucinations are sort of benefit for creativity. So that's, I think, a key company. I think that the biggest win of generative AI so far has been creative inspiration or use. That was really where it started, these image generators. It's amazing to see what people are doing.
And then, to take a question. And you?
조선비즈 이정수 기자라고 합니다. 일단 챗GPT를 세상에 소개시켜서 감사합니다.
Yeah, translation. Yeah.
전번에 저도 이제 새 직장을 찾아봐야 될 것 같은데요. 일단 제가 드리고 싶은 질문은
Please ask slowly.
네, 알겠습니다. 천천히 다시 한번 드리겠습니다. 조선비즈 이정수 기자라고 합니다. 챗GPT를 일단 세상에 소개시켜서 감사합니다. 왜냐면 저도 새 직장을 찾아봐야 될 것 같아서요. 그래서 제가 드리고 싶은 질문은 하나입니다. 그러니까 챗GPT를 통해 가지고 이제 많은 사람들이 일자리를 잃게 됐는데요. 근데 월드코인을 가지고 여기에 대한 비판을 좀 잠재우려고 한다고 하는 그런 지적들도 있는데 여기에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시는지. 왜냐하면 기본소득을 이제 부자한테 나눠준다고 하는데 여기에 대한 재원은 또 어디서 오는지 이 두 가지가 좀 궁금했습니다.
Yeah. Yeah. So, first of all, I don't think it's clear about how many people are going to lose jobs. With the current systems, we're finding that a lot of people who thought they were going to lose jobs are finding that they're just much more productive, able to do more. As the power of what someone can accomplish goes up, as the tools get better, people are capable of doing more, and the expectations rise. But categories of jobs go through this transition, and then on the other side, people just do way more and better. So I think we're seeing this first with computer programmers, maybe because Copilot launched relatively early. But you hear all the time from computer programmers saying, when I first saw this, I thought I was going to be out of a job. Now it's clear to me I'm not going to be out of a job anytime soon, and I'm 2 or 3 times more productive. I'm just able to do more. And not only like more volume of work, but qualitatively better things. If you kind of free up more of your mind space, if you have like a lot of people on your team or AIs on your team, you can just do very different stuff. So I think it's not playing out the way that anyone predicted so far. That may change in the future, but I think this idea of totally new categories of jobs that are impossible to imagine today, or at least very difficult, is very important. And we see that with every kind of revolution like this. In terms of UBI and where we get money for it, in a world where AGI has that kind of economic impact that it really is displacing jobs at the rate you're talking about, I think it would mean there's like plenty of money in the world.
Yeah, I would take the prior yeah, you guys can go.
쌤에게 질문하겠습니다. 안녕하세요. 한국경제
Please slow.
예,
Yeah.
한국경제 질문
Anytime.
스타트업부에서 브리시 담당하는 호란 기자이고요. 2가지 질문인데, 쌤이 월드코인을 4년 전 설립을 했지만 그 사이에 이 코인이나 가상화폐에 대한 생각이 조금 바뀐 게 있다면 무엇인지 궁금하고요. 또 월드코인 외에 블록체인이나 가상화폐가 사회에 미치는 부정적인 영향은 뭐가 있을 수 있다고 생각하는지요?
Yeah, definitely the space has gone through some ups and downs since then. I still fundamentally believe the same thing I believe then. Number one, this is like the idea of a blockchain is an amazing new piece of technology, an amazing new tool for the world. Number two, if you can create better financial systems around the world, that is a powerful thing. I think that increases opportunity and sort of just general value in the world. And this is, a new idea that's come along. It hasn't yet reached what I would call like the critical point of where it really is transforming the world. There have obviously been huge challenges in the space, projects that have gone horribly wrong, regulatory challenges. And I would say it has not yet delivered on the promise. But I remain very hopeful and think what this could enable is quite important. There are, of course, a lot of negative potentials, and I think we've seen those, unfortunately, quite a bit in the last few years.
And question is behind yeah. Please introduce yourself first.
Hi, my name's John Lee from Vesco Global. I run a cloud MSP here. The question goes to both of you. For the rest of us, you guys are solving really important problems. But of course, for your vision to be realized, I'm sure there are problems that you wish somebody would just solve. For OpenAI to accomplish what it wants to accomplish, and for WorldCoin to accomplish what you guys want to accomplish. But as you see for the rest of us, what do you want us to be working on? What do you want the rest of the world to be working on so that you could realize the vision together? So I don't know if that's too big of a question, but there must be some specific problems that I wish these things are solved. Obviously, you're busy solving a lot of problems, but what should the rest of us be doing? Besides just using it, what problems should we be solving?
So my response is actually regulatory clarity would be like really important for the space. So like it sounds like a joke, but it actually is like you have no idea how crazy it is. We're actually working in that space because if you are a good actor and you really just like want to do whatever is right, there's just like nobody to tell you what is right. So I think that's like one big thing we have to figure out together, like what are the rules specifically around crypto regulation and how do we roll it out? And I think many of the bad things that happened the last few years, we could have just avoided if that would have been the case earlier. So that's like something that's like top of mind for sure.
There are a lot of specific things I think we could ask for. You know, we'd love like cheaper, faster, better AI accelerators, and like a whole bunch of other specific things. But the meta thing is, I think the world just needs like a lot of progress. Things have been somewhat stagnant the last few decades, and I think we don't have the level of sustainable economic growth that we need to have like a really great future and for people to be fulfilled. That's been driven home for me on this trip the last 4 weeks. So the main thing I would say is what we all need is just like more better quality of life, better technology, cheaper necessities, higher quality education, or whatever. And technology is the only way to drive that forward. Technology and the sort of social institutions that enable it.
Yeah, other questions? That guy, yeah. You take a question.
Hi, Sam. Big fan. I'm married JK. I work at Hash. I'm an IR manager. But what inspired me from your Lex Friedman podcast was that you mentioned American capitalism had provided individual freedom, and that's what made it great in the history. And I personally believe that that's what blockchain gives to people fundamentally. And I would like to ask you what WorldCoin could possibly give to people, not specifically for America or any other specific region, but any other country as an individual in general, individual empowerment, I guess. That's what personally I get inspired from blockchain technology and the community, people, the creativity that's
Yeah, that was the other point I was trying to make earlier. I think systems like this can do a great deal for individual economic empowerment, and that is really important, much more than people realize for the world being moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, you take a question. If you, yeah.
Hi Sam, hi Alex. Nice to meet you. I'm Narelle, and I'm actually working on an editor that is utilizing decentralized technology and also Gen AI. I'm using DALL-E for 2D and Shapey for 3D. I have this one question that's related for like all this productivity questions. So now that you guys have picked iris recognition as the biometric solution, is there any way that, like for iris code to be cracked and used to be reconstruct someone's, let's say I want someone's iris information, an image of it. I guess that's like a fear of a lot of people. I guess that's my only question here.
Yeah, that's fair. So the system, and you can just look it up because it's open source, that part. But the important thing is that the uniqueness service, so the thing that actually gives you the identity, is separated from your actual wallet. So even if you would go to a worst case where that's the case, like that happens, no one could connect to who you actually are in your daily life. So like even the worst case keeps you completely anonymous. And I think that's the main thing that people actually worry about with biometrics. And so we basically put zero knowledge proofs in between to make sure that any of these cases cannot happen.
Thanks.
Yeah, this time, yes, you? Yes.
We can see you, Sam. I'm Sang-no, the founder of Hyperism. Hyperism is a quant-based trading shop. I just want to ask you a personal question. How have you overcome or get through difficult moments in your life or business?
It gets easier over time. Like each time you think something's going horribly wrong and you find out, get through it, you have like a little bit more confidence in yourself to figure it out next time. So like practice, and you just like lean into it. And even if the challenges and the setbacks get bigger, they somehow carry less emotional weight over time. It's like these, other 100 things, all of which I thought were gonna like kill my company or whatever at the time. Didn't. Probably this next one won't either. I'll just figure that way through.
Hi, I'm Nick, and I'm working in consumer goods and e-commerce and blockchain field. I was wondering if we could get your opinion about having freedom to have multi. In my opinion, for the past 5 to 10 years, typical blockchain and crypto field has been trying hard to have more freedom to have multi in online forums. And I also think that people in their 20s and 30s, we're all used to have multi because of typical computer games and video games. But in my short understanding about WordCoin, it is strongly connected with our biological information like our eyes information. So it could be seen as having less freedom to have more as a person in this Web2 and Web3 world. What's your opinion about the importance of having freedom to have multi-ID in the next 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, we agree. So actually, Role ID is implemented in a way that you can do that. So it's like all that you control. You have that signal that you can use, and you will use it to leave your real coin itself. But you can simply create multiple services, and so we agree. I think that's truly important for anything online.
Okay, we have some questions left. Yeah, not almost the time. Yeah, sorry. And you, yeah, why?
Hi. So as we work towards decreasing the cost of compute and intelligence, I think it becomes easier than ever to build software. And my concern here is defensible, right? We're going to run out of jobs to do, and people are going to start building software very easily. How does that affect venture scale outcomes when you can basically just clone anybody's product? And where do modes really lie? Are we going to move towards hardware, and relationships, or are businesses going to shift more towards an entertainment status?
Modes very rarely come from pure software anyway. Like, there's a long list of ideas of things that work. The social networks use network effects. There's a lot of things that are possible with economies of scale. And there's other things that I think get discussed less, like brand or great customer experience, over time. But I think the answer is we'll have to continue to build great businesses the old-fashioned way. Technology is almost never the mode people talk about it as. Once in a while it happens, but that's not really the sort of the story of business. And so in that sense, I think things don't change as much as they seem. Like, it didn't work that well before, it won't work that well in the future. Everyone talks about the value of their technology too much. And really it's all these other things that build up the defensible value.
Yeah, Sam, my another question is actually, you invest another startup, Helion Energy, right? So, why do you invest in Helion Energy? So, you also that's also kind of a sort of startup, right?
Yeah, I think if we can get fusion to work, and more importantly than get it to work, if we can get it to be incredibly cheap and produced at massive scale, that will transform the world. I think the two limiting reagents of human productivity, economic growth, liquid life, whatever you want to call it, are the cost of intelligence and the cost of energy. And if you can bring those two things way down, we can have an unbelievable quality of life. We still need things like WorldCoin to figure out a fairly distributed, build an inclusive system. But those two things would substantially alter the course of sort of human progress.
Okay. And then, sorry, and then we last but not least, and could you advise to our Korean younger generation for in the AI era?
This is the best. This will be the greatest technological boom, productivity boom, economic boom, whatever you want to call it. This will be the greatest one since the internet. So I think all young people are especially lucky right now to kind of innovations time and should just go off, build stuff, and there will be an unbelievable tailwind.
Alex, would you advise for Korean younger generation?
I think I'm young as well, so.
Okay.
I mean, like my advice is always the same when I talk to like people that are will come right out of university or something. It's just like focus on actually learning technology. Like that's the thing that helped me the most is like I went pretty deep in physics and math and all these things and that compounded over the years because I'm kind of able to understand things deeply now and I can talk to people across the company and the other companies. So it's like just there's like this one constant thing, no matter what the technological boom is that right now actually matters is just actually become competent and get skilled. That never changes. I mean, it's
Sure, thank you. Yeah, 50 minutes. Yeah, so it has passed so fast. So, 이제 50분 우리 예정된 시간이 끝나가지고 이제 끝내야 될 것 같습니다. 우리 두, 샘과 알렉스에게 큰 박수로. 그렇지, 회식이 되는 인사들인데, 회식이 쌓여온 운동에 공헌을 했습니다. 근데 레드코인 많은 준비해보는 인사입니다. 그리고 the W Foundation, right? So you introduce.
Oh yeah, you already thanked many people, and thank you also very much. Starting to later, we also wanted to especially thank Erika from CryptoCell because we did like this is our third event in Seoul this week. We love Seoul, we'll be coming more, and we did like Eve Seoul and Malaysia and interacted with like hundreds and hundreds of builders. So we're super grateful to everybody that made this week happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.